Hello, and welcome to Historical Humans Reads, where we take primary sources and bring them to your screen. I'm Colum Coleman, and today we are reading From Desiree's Baby by Kate Chopin. Published in 1893, Desiree's Baby is a short story revolving around multi-ethnic relations in the antebellum South. Set in a Louisiana plantation, the story follows the titular Desiree and her plantation-owning husband Armand after Desiree gives birth to a dark-skinned child. The brief narrative goes through several sharp twists and turns that expose the absurdity of racial prejudices found in both the antebellum South and Chopin's own time. Today we'll be reading the opening to Desiree's Baby. With that, let's begin. As the day was pleasant, Madame Valmond drove over to L'Abri to see Desiree and the baby. It made her laugh to think of Desiree with a baby. Why, it seemed but yesterday that Desiree was little more than a baby herself, when Monsieur, in riding through the gateway of Valmond, had found her lying asleep in the shadow of the big stone pillar. The little one awoke in his arms and began to cry for Dada. That was as much as she could do or say. Some people thought she might have strayed there of her own accord, for she was of the toddling age. The prevailing belief was that she had been purposely left by a party of Texans, whose canvas-covered wagon, late in the day, had crossed the ferry that Cotton May kept, just below the plantation. In time, Madame Valmont abandoned every speculation but the one that Desiree had been sent to her by a beneficent providence to be the child of her affection, seeing as she was without a child of the flesh. For the girl grew to be beautiful and gentle, affectionate and sincere, the idol of Valmont. It was no wonder, when she stood one day against the stone pillar in whose shadow she had lain asleep 18 years before, that Armand Aubigny, riding by and seeing her there, had fallen in love with her. That was the way all the Aubignys fell in love, as if struck by pistol shot. The wonder was that he had not loved her before, for he had known her since his father brought him home from Paris, a boy of 8, after his mother died there. The passion that awoke in him that day, when he saw her at the gate, swept along like an avalanche, or like a prairie fire, or like anything that drives headlong over all obstacles. Monsieur Valmont grew practical and wanted things well considered, that is, the girl's obscure origin. Armand looked into her eyes and did not care. He was reminded that she was nameless. What did it matter about a name when he could give her one of the oldest and proudest in Louisiana? He ordered the corbeille from Paris and contained himself with what patience he could until it arrived. Then they were married. Madame Valmont had not seen Desiree and the baby for 4 weeks. When she reached L'Arbre, she shuddered at the first sight of it, as she always did. It was a sad-looking place, which for many years had not known the gentle presence of a mistress, old Monsieur Aubigny having married and buried his wife in France, and she having loved her own land too well to ever leave it. The roof came down steep and black like a cowl, reaching out beyond the wide galleries that encircled the yellow stuccoed house. Big, solemn oaks grew close to it, and their thick-leaved, far-reaching branches shadowed it like a pall. Young Aubigny's rule was a strict one, too, and under it his Negroes had forgotten how to be gay, as they had been during their old master's easy-going and indulgent lifetime. The young mother was recovering slowly and lay full length in her soft white muslins and laces upon a couch. The baby was beside her, upon her arm, where he had fallen asleep at her breast. The yellow nurse-woman sat beside a window fanning herself. Madame Valmont bent her portly figure over Desiree and kissed her, holding her an instant tenderly in her arms. Then she turned to the child. "This is not the baby," she exclaimed in startled tones. French was the language spoken at Valmont these days. "I knew you would be astonished," laughed Desiree, "at the way he has grown. The little cochon de lot. Look at his legs, mamma. And his hands and fingernails, real fingernails. Zandrine had to cut them this morning. Isn't it true, Zandrine? The woman bowed her turbaned head majestically. Merci, madame. And the way he cries, went on Desiree, is deafening. Armand heard him the other day as far away as La Blanche's cavern. Madame Valmont had never removed her eyes from the child. She lifted it and walked with it over to the window that was lightest. She scanned the baby narrowly, and then looked as searchingly at Zandrine, whose face was turned to gaze across the field. Yes, the child has grown, has changed, said Madame Valmont, slowly, as she replaced it beside his mother. What does Armand say? Desiree's face came suffused with the glow that was happiness itself. Oh, Armand, he is the proudest father in the parish, I believe, chiefly because it is a boy to bear his name, though he says not, that he would have loved a girl as well. But I know it isn't true. I know he says that to please me. And mamma, she added, drawing Valmont's head down to her and speaking in a whisper, he hasn't punished one of them, not one of them, since the baby was born. Even Negrelon, who pretended to have burnt up his leg that he might rest from work, he only laughed and said that Negrelon was a great scamp. Oh, mamma, I'm so happy it frightens me. This has been an excerpt from Desiree's Baby on Historical Humans Reads. If you enjoyed this video and like to hear more excerpts from the original text, please subscribe to be notified of the next one. If there's a work you would like to hear, be sure to like the video, leaving a comment listing it below. Thank you for listening.